Thanks for tuning in to Unclogged, a Zoom Drain podcast. We've got a special episode for you today, as we've invited our friend and fellow franchisee, Dennis the Apprentice, to dig deep on the humble beginnings of being an apprentice and how that translates into a successful career. You can find Dennis the Apprentice on Instagram and on his podcast, Behind the Windshield. So, let's run it.
Thank you for having me.
So glad you're here. Tell me a little bit about you. What's Rob at Prodrains all about?
Sewers, drains, septics. We try not to say no to anything.
Awesome.
Any job that comes up, any task, we try to. If I need to get a license, I'll go get a license. I need a piece of equipment, I'll go get the equipment. Essentially, I don't want to say no to anybody.
Very cool. And what area?
We're in Rhode Island and Connecticut.
Okay. How many trucks, techs?
We got 3 guys, 5 trucks.
Awesome. How long have you been in business?
5 years now.
5 years. Awesome.
Each year, better and better.
Very cool. Well, Dennis the Apprentice, I like to teach soft skills to apprentices, right? Rather than when you go to college, they tell you the curriculum like English 101, Math 101, whatever it is. It was never algebra for me. I could never figure that out.
I sucked at college itself. I could never pass the math class.
Oh, me neither. I
got A's in everything but math. And I went to college because you were an idiot if you didn't go to college back then. You know what I mean? When you went to school, it's either you went to college or you were a loser if you didn't go.
Right.
So I went, and here's the path I'm at now. So it shows how good it works out.
For sure. So when did you have an apprenticeship? What's it like in your state as far as what apprenticeship actually is? Is
you
school?
Do a 4-year apprenticeship, then you got to do your journeyman's for a year, and then test for your master plumber.
Okay. So how'd you find plumbing actually? How'd you find the trade itself?
Well, my father owns 26 houses, 54 units, and always did all the plumbing himself with his buddy that was a plumber as he learned. And I got in a lot of trouble back in 2007 or so, and when I got out of trouble, I tried to find something that could hold value to my family, to my father. My father's done a lot for me my entire life. And when I got in trouble, it was the biggest heartbreak of my life when he sat across from me in jail and said, "I can't get you out of this one." And when I got out, there was an opportunity to become an apprentice for a local plumber, and I said, man, that's a good opportunity where now I can go work with my father, I can help my father, and I can build something from there. So that's what inspired me to get into it.
Awesome. So as an apprentice, how did you stand out?
So the first couple weeks, I had no idea what I was doing. I was calling my dad in the middle, running to the truck, saying, "Hey, what's a street 90? What's the 45? How do I know?" And getting them aggravated, trying to look on my phone, figure it out. But as time went on, it got better, and you just got to stick it out. You got to grind, no matter what job it is. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
You got to put the effort in, the work, and the knowledge. And as an apprentice, you got to be willing to learn and focus and pay attention. You can't just mess around the whole time.
Did you get given a hard time at all?
My boss used to throw things at me.
Oh.
He'd yell at you, "Come on, kid!" You got to be ready. You got to have everything. The moment he turns around, he expects the screwdriver to be facing the right way, the marker off. Everything's got to be ready for him. He expected you to be on a whole nother level. There's no messing around.
Anticipation, right? When you anticipate everything.
And on that, and when you go to a job, you got to analyze everything and map it out.
Right.
In my head, when I go to a project now, it's like I'm doing it in my head like a puzzle. I'm putting everything together, going over option A, B, and C to figure out if something happens. I know what the next option is, the next option after that, so there's no failure.
Right.
So that's what they taught me and embedded in my mind, was to keep professional, make sure you know what you're doing when you get into it, be prepared for everything, have the right equipment, the right tools.
Right.
Those people, if they're good, no matter who you apprentice for, if they give you the right intel and the right knowledge, you're set up for success.
For sure.
And I notice now when I go back and work for them and do jobs for them and stuff, I'm like, I learned that from you.
Yeah.
My van's clean because I was taught to keep my van clean. Or when I go to a job and I do it that way, I expect it that way.
Right. You're in business for yourself. How did you figure out that that's what you wanted to do?
Well, I wanted to, again, hold value with my family and with the properties. And as I was in my apprenticeship around year 4, when the company split apart to do more HVAC, I had the opportunity to get into more drains, and as the apprentice, I was on the bottom of the totem pole doing anything I was told, mostly drain jobs if I had to. And then when that opportunity came, I said, either I stay here and finish it out, or I have the opportunity to go season. Being the fact that my father has a lot of real estate and property, I don't know if it's in my blood just to be an entrepreneur and invest and make money. I took the jump.
Awesome.
I'm glad I did now, but I was nervous as hell in the beginning.
Oh, for sure.
I had a ton of people tell me how dumb I was to leave one place to go to another, but we all got to take risks.
Absolutely. It seems like nowadays a lot of people don't know if they're mechanically inclined or not, right? When we're us older guys, we fixed our bikes and lawnmowers and stuff like that. Have you picked up on anything that might give you a hint that a young person is mechanically inclined and might be a good plumber?
I feel like now with the technology, even having experience with video game, not saying it's going to mean they're a plumber, but they can try to translate that skill into certain aspects of this trade. There's different, look at all the stuff we have around here.
It's amazing.
There's the guy over 2 booths over that has virtual reality for his Dan cutter. You know what I mean? So the guy's wearing his glasses and he's sitting there reinstatement. Some of those guys are better than you and I could ever be at doing a camera inspection or reinstatement just because they're used to the robotics. And I think there's an aspect for anybody in every aspect of the trade. Whether you want to become a plumber, an electrician, whatever, there's an aspect for somebody in some way if you actually took the time to look at. Just same as if when you go to college and they try to evaluate you and say, you might be a lawyer, you might be an accountant, you want to do this, or when you go to high school and they give you a counselor and say, based on your test, you might be this. If you actually went into the trades, you could figure out, or if you're on a construction site, you might say, I like doing roofing versus doing the plumbing, or whatever it is.
Right.
Obviously, I love plumbing the best, but I'm just saying, trades itself is just, people don't realize the opportunities there are.
Do you know what it is about plumbing that you like?
Outside the money?
Yeah.
The challenge.
Challenge?
So, every day something different.
Yeah.
Different scenery, different jobs, different challenges. Just,
cool.
Whether we're shooting a liner or digging up a pipe, we're solving a problem, doing something under a slab without digging it. I like the challenge every day.
Awesome. I had a young apprentice. I said, how did you know you weren't going to college? And he said, I hate college. In 9th grade, he couldn't stand school. I'm not going to college. I hate to learn. And so then I asked him, so what do you like about plumbing? And he said, I know I learn every day, and I know there's so much to learn. I'll never quit learning until I'm done.
And you're hands-on learning. You're not sitting in a classroom.
Yeah, and I got, you realize you just said you're not going to college because you hate to learn, but you love plumbing because you learn every day. It's just a different kind of learning. I kind of call it, I picked up on the word kinetic. Like we're kinetic, we learn on the move type. That's how we learn, not by reading books.
That's very true.
So you're entrepreneurial, and you got some real estate in the background. Like, do you have any philosophy about money and what you're doing with your money? Something people don't talk about much, but like we kind of make, in the trades, we make some pretty good money. Do you have an idea what you're doing with it?
You just got to keep investing it.
Right.
You got to think long term.
How do you?
You can't think short. You can't think short term all the time and say, look how much money I made on this job. Some people have the misconception just because the job paid very well that they're rich or they're successful or they can go buy this and that. You got to be able to manage your money, and you got to have a process. You got to know your numbers first and foremost. But even if you knew your numbers, you still have to be able to. I don't know how to explain it in a minute, but you have to just know what you're willing to get into. Real estate isn't easy for everybody. Stocks aren't easy for everybody. You got to know how you're going to do it, but you have to invest your money. You can't just go work and put it in the bank. You ain't going to get ahead.
Right.
If you're happy making a paycheck and living a steady life, that's free. Everyone's goals are different. First, it matters what your goal is going to be.
Sure.
Is your goal to be rich or wealthy?
Right.
I don't want to be rich. I want to be wealthy.
What's the difference?
I don't having a bunch of money in my pocket now, or my kids' being taken care of, and they don't have to work a day.
You're thinking about your grandkids right now.
I want generational wealth, not rich.
Where did you get that?
It's just mentality. I don't want. Like I was telling her over there, my father, when I was younger, worked every day. When I went to school or had football games, wrestling matches, he tried to come as much as he could, but he was working all day and then working on his real estate in the afternoon. And I never got it as a kid. I never got, my father ain't around, he's doing something. I get out of high school and I go to college, I get in trouble, and as you start learning and you get older, you realize every guy was working every single day of his life to make sure his kids had everything. A car, a house, whatever they could have. And we were all pretty well off. Now I like the fact that my daughter would never have to work. I hope they work and they do everything else.
Sure.
The whole point is to have enough financial backing behind them so they don't ever have to.
Right.
That's my goal anyway.
Right.
Well, I hit it, I don't know.
How are you doing? Are you doing real estate or stocks or?
A little everything.
A little of everything. Very cool.
As long as I'm making money.
Yeah. Cool. I think money is something we don't talk about in the trades, and the trades start to make really good money, and there's a big lack as far as.
A lot of money. You got to be willing to invest in it. Like you see some of these trucks out here, and some people, they hear the price and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to invest to make money.
Yeah. It's like a rental property, right? They If you run them right, they're going to pay. They're going to.
Same exact concept.
The customer is going to pay for it.
Same
right?
concept. You're invested into it. You got to maintain it, take care of it. It's always going to bring you steady income.
Yeah.
Just like a piece of equipment. Every piece of equipment makes you money if you take care of it.
Right. Right.
In my eyes, anyway. I have equipment just sitting in my garage I don't use every day, but they all have a purpose and they all make money. That's the purpose of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, very good, Robert. Thanks for coming on Behind the Windshield.
Anytime.
Awesome.